Instead of helping the native population to have more children, the Hungarian government, they say, should import a replacement population from the third world. That's the...
By the way, this is how he speaks about Hungary. This is the kind of things he would like to say about America, but can't. But you know, it's this one's a bridge too far. But he'd like to be able to say replacement populations from third world countries of dirty, filthy people coming in here to replace good old-fashioned Judeo-Christian Americans. Friendships are important, everybody. You know? I mean, you all need little friends in your life. It doesn't matter if you don't have IRL friends. You know, you can have online friends as well. That's just as valid. Don't feel bad about that.
Friendship. Shang Tsung wins. Flawless victory.
The Duke of Vandals, thank you.
Friendship. Shao Kahn wins. Flawless victory. Friendship. Frost wins. Flawless victory.
So you get the idea. Anyways, Hungarian PM Viktor Orbán, you know him as the fascist. Yeah, the one who's been doing a whole bunch of grisly, gnarly shit. Yeah, that one. The one who's been pushing for those horrifying anti-LGBTQ laws. The one who's been cracking down on dissidents. The one who's been cracking down on freedom of the press. The one who's just an awful, awful human being. Not a man worthy of your respect in any way, shape, or form. Anyways, Hungarian PM Viktor Orbán's Facebook page shows that he met Tucker Carlson today in Budapest. Coordinating an interview on Carlson's Fox News shows a key part of Hungary's 2019 foreign influence ops when Orbán the government got paid DC lobbying and comms firms worth $265,000. Pretty unreal. Now, of course, to his defense, enter Glenn Greenwald. Actually, before I show that, I should show you a little lead up to this.
At least one politician in Europe is fearlessly raising an alarm about the kind of society...
Oh, Sean HG, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. Appreciate you.
European elites want to create, one that is rejected unanimously almost by European citizens. In a speech yesterday kicking off his party's bid for re-election, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán warned that politicians in Brussels, Berlin, and Paris are going to destroy Western civilization with their enthusiasm for mass migration. Left unchecked, he said, Europe could end up with a Muslim majority,
thank you.
or the continent's Christian culture would be blotted out. Orbán is not crazy, actually, on a math level here. Hungary's population is below 10 million. Its birth rate is not high. It wouldn't take a huge wave of immigration from Muslim nations to overrun and eventually obliterate a culture that has existed for thousands of years. In America, that's considered a small point. Who cares? But if you've been there for a millennium, maybe you do care. Polls show that more or less most Europeans agree with that. Last year, majorities in Germany, France, Italy, Belgium, and several other countries said they wanted a total freeze on immigration from Muslim countries. Naturally, though, EU leaders denounce Orbán as authoritarian. Hilarious. Considering the source, their motto effectively is do it.
Yeah, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. Yeah. As of 2020, he has achieved his dream of turning Hungary into a dictatorship. The Hungarian parliament passed an act allowing him to rule by decree without any term limits under the pretext of fighting the coronavirus. He might lose power in 2022 because all the major opposition parties have united against him. But of course, he has lost power only to come back before. And any government-created coalition, which includes everything from leftists to reactionaries united, is only by their hatred of Fidesz, will soon be stable by comparison. He's a very bad man. He's not someone you should be uniting with. It's pretty wild to me that this is happening. Tucker has been praising him for years, by the way. This is back in 2019, and it's all because he loves the anti-immigrant sentiment, right? I mean, it's just like, it's basically Tucker Carlson porn. He's doing the things Tucker Carlson wished you could do in America.
Like most advanced countries, Hungary struggles with a declining birth rate. In America, for perspective, the average woman has 1.7 children. That's the lowest figure we've ever had in our history. In Hungary, the number is even lower than that.
Dragon,
1.5 children per family. Hungary has lost more than 500,000 people in the past 30 years. At this rate, unless something changes dramatically, there will be no more Hungarians. The neoliberals who run the European Union and every think tank in Washington strongly agree on what Hungary should do to fix the problem. Give up. Instead of helping the native population to have more children, the Hungarian government, they say, should import a replacement population from the third world. That's the...
By the way, this is how he speaks about Hungary. This is the kind of things he would like to say about America, but can't. But you know, it's this one's a bridge too far. But he'd like to be able to say replacement populations from third world countries of dirty, filthy people coming in here to replace good old-fashioned Judeo-Christian Americans.
George Soros solution. But Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orbán, has a different idea. Instead of abandoning Hungary's young people to the hard-edged libertarianism of Soros and the Clinton Foundation, Orbán has decided to affirmatively help Hungarian families grow. Orbán's government is giving young women $35,000 low-interest loans when they get married for the first time. If these women have three children with their husbands, the loans are forgiven completely. If they have a fourth child, they're exempt from income taxes for the rest of their lives. Hungary doesn't just have parental leave. Grandparents can take time off to help after the birth of a grandchild. Everything about these policies is a good idea. They don't just help people have the children they want to have, they encourage the creation of healthy families.
So if the dog whistles and the coded messages aren't just screaming at you right now so much that your ears are bleeding, the idea here is that he doesn't want the filthy migrants coming in, and that it's a great idea if we actually incentivize good old-fashioned Hungarians to create and craft the ideal Aryan race at home. That's kind of the idea here that Tucker is going for.
The Hungarian government wants to help people get married, stay married to the same person, and remain close to their extended families. It gives the biggest rewards to middle-class families, the very group struggling most to balance career, finances, and children in the modern age. In other words, Hungary's leaders actually care about making sure their own people thrive. Instead of promising the nation's wealth to every illegal immigrant from the third world, they're using tax dollars to uplift their own people.
Again, this not subtle at all. Not subtle at all. You know? It's just laying it on real thick. Real thick.
Imagine that. Here's the least surprising part of it all. People absolutely love it. And why wouldn't they? Viktor Orbán's government just won its third landslide election victory in a row.
Glenn Greenwald, big friend of Tucker Carlson, wanted to be one of the first people to rush to his defense because, again, everyone was like, why the ever-loving fuck is Tucker Carlson going over to Hungary for a full week to broadcast his show live with Viktor Orbán? That's kind of beyond the pale, you know? But of course, Glenn Greenwald jumped to it and was like, before U.S. elites decide to condemn some country they've told by their government that they're supposed to hate for some transgression or another, they should probably first ask whether their own government does the same thing or worse. So we have a name for that. And of course, he's quoting Jason Stanley here. Everybody making light of the extraordinary corruption of Hungary's kleptocracy should think about what it's like to have the government use the courts to hammer your business with huge random fines and fees because they don't like you. Julian Assange, Biden administration appeals UK ruling against WikiLeaks co-founder extradition. Oh, this is supposed to be the moral equivalent of what Viktor Orbán does. Is Julian Assange? That's your moral equivalency. Okay, so dictator who jails and silences journalists, frequently within the country. But yes, the Julian Assange, that is a one-to-one comparison, and not deflecting. Also interesting that he would call out Jason Stanley about this, saying that you don't really know, like, why are you suddenly interested in this topic for the first time? If y'all didn't know, Jason Stanley wrote an entire book on this, of which there's several chapters on Viktor Orbán and Hungary and their politics. He's not exactly a first-time interested party in this, shall we say. And also, why did everyone suddenly decide to start feigning deep knowledge about Hungary and begin talking about it because Tucker Carlson traveled there? It is now considered immoral or something for journalists, I mean, Greenwald is doing a lot of the heavy lifting right here. Journalists to visit other countries to report on what they see and hear. Interesting. And then, just going to give y'all a quick rundown as to why Tucker Carlson's there. If anyone is wondering why Tucker Carlson is palling around with Viktor Orbán, Tucker Carlson is actually a latecomer to the American right's love affair with Viktor Orbán. Here's a thread. As I reported in the New Republic, in 2019, Orbán hired a Republican to strategize to plot his return to power and later consolidate power in 2010. Then Orbán hired a Republican lobbyist in 2014 to burnish his image on the Capitol Hill and in the US press. At that time, supporting Orbán was considered a fringe position in DC foreign policy establishment, and even in the Republican Party, Dana Rohrabacher was standard bearer for the position. But thanks to the work of the DC strategists and lobbyists and the growing affection for Orbán's illiberal democracy within the right and the religious right, more on the later, embracing Orbán is now increasingly becoming the mainstream position in the GOP. So this is all by design. He pays a whole bunch of fucking money, and then he gets them all on board, and then they sanitize his image, and then everyone is real happy.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, genre.
We're doing this video to talk about what we do. What do we do?
We are a political podcast where we talk about, whatever is interesting to me, not usually current events, but more fundamental topics in like the quote unquote culture war.
Are we culture warriors or
no? We're just some
diplomats?
People on the internet trying to make sense of the insanity. We do this podcast every other week, and I cuss a lot. Which is why we're on YouTube. Because anything goes here. It's a free-for-all after 2 minutes. So I'm trying to be good.
That's right. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. I shouldn't have to say this. And tell your friends that you love it. And tell your enemies that you hate it.
Ba-da-da-da.
Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs Cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our wonderful gods, Xander Corvus, VK Jehannam, T. Grow, and Peyton L. Just, may you smite all of our enemies. To our monarchs, Tom Spiker and the Tim Caucus, we are your humble servants, ready to do all your bidding. To our lords, Evan Nudie, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Ryan Lubin, and Jeff Lamb, we shall proudly carry your banner on the online battlefield. To our Knights of the Round Table, Val 9000, Jenna Tal, Dark Puppy, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Chronic the Hemphog, Phone Jenny, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Jibby Big Nuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Yopi, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our glass and we raise our swords and we salute you.